Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Leo Naranjo here, candidate for governor in the 2026 election. Let's bring up my calendar. Today is the 28th of May. 5 more days. 5 more days before the primary hits. Woo! People are getting testy. People online are getting a little testy and agitated and irritated and everything else like that. We're in the new internet world. The America Online days aren't here. We've got new games, new rules, new playthings on the internet world for today. Most humorous seems to be the thing that people do nowadays is when they irritate you, they block you, as if that's going to end the world and make everything go away. Pretty colors. So what? I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. That's what those people are for. Go to them. I'm going to tell you what you probably need to hear, which you're not going to like, but it's going to be at least honest. And a little bit hard-hitting while we're at it. For those of you that keep calling for old Chad Bianco, to drop the race and solidify behind Herr Hilton, grow to hell up, because that's not going to happen. The last candidate that ran for an office that did that was Kamala Harris. If, and Americans have a small memory span, you remember and recall, she dropped her race right before the first ballot was cast in Iowa. Didn't look good. Now you want old Chad to drop out right before the first ballot is cast in the primaries of California. 5 days before the ballots start getting counted. It would not look good for him. It would not look good for the party. It would not look good for all of his supporters, much less himself. Quitting before the race is even over with, you would look like an abject idiot. Oh, I'm not a Bianco fan. Don't get it confused. I'm just pointing out he ain't going to quit because he ain't going anywhere. Party doesn't want him to. He won't, and that's that. Suck it up and deal with it. Bianco's on the ballot. He's still running, and we'll find out what happens at the end of June the 2nd. For the Hilton people, ooh, we're getting ready to celebrate our 250th year of claiming independence from the very country that started off the 13 American colonies that morphed itself into the nation that it is today. We beat England to gain independence, but yet we're running towards embracing a Brit to give up our independence. My, the optics of that alone is horrendous. But yet people are going to go with Hilton. He's a Fox News host. We've researched him. We've investigated him. I feel he's a good man. He's got a plan. He's going to help us fix California because he's learned in less than 5 years what it takes to fix California. But Californians that have lived here forever and a day can't figure it out. This charlatan can. People want to vote for Hilton. God bless you. Hey, at least you voted for somebody, which is better than the 51% of the people who never voted at all in the last election. You clocked out for some reason or another. Don't believe the hype. Brian Dolly did not get 48% of the vote. He got 48% of the ballots cast, which equated to only 16% of the total electorate. What does that mean in layman's language? 51% of you out there didn't give a rat's ass to cast a ballot. You didn't. Point blank, that's it. So less than 49% of the people cast a ballot to see who would run governor for the past 4 years. And we were stuck with Newsom again. Now he's leaving. I think California has issues. Unfortunately, they're not major enough for people to change their voting tactics. Few nuances have happened in the last few months of this campaigning season, and I just wanted to highlight a few of them for you. For those of you that are interested, for those of you that even bother to care. And this is not for you pundits that are diehard Bianco or Hilton fans. Just go ahead and click it off. It's not something that you want to see or hear, because I'm not pulling punches on either man, gentleman, candidate, whatever you want to call them. You could almost call this a let's shut the door and have that real conversation moment. Had that before with the clients I used to deal with in the welfare office. They didn't appreciate much either of having that type of conversation, but at least it was an honest one somebody finally had with them. Unlike many people here have not. Gee, who do we start with? Let's start with Mark Wright. Yes, you, Mr. Wright, California Central Committee chairperson of Placer County. Your happy ass got caught in the California Patriot Project, making the following claims and statements. Hilton and Bianco were not chosen to win the election. They were chosen because they raised money for the central committees up and down the state. Your words, not mine. Now, you've recently entertained a conversation in a group that we both affiliate with where you claimed you never made such a statement. The only reason why I don't have that recording is because that group blocked me from obtaining it. But the internet seems to be forever, and your happy ass was caught making that statement. Red Pill Chick, Daniel Mercury, a few others in that room that were aghast at the statement that you made. They remember it, because I remember it damn well. Mercury accusing David Hernandez of sabotaging his campaign, and your response back to Mr. Mercury was, he does what the party wants him to do. And you're not aware of those things Mr. Mercury were alleging, which pissed him off because he made you aware of them and you blew it off. You didn't like the conversation Red Pill Mixed Chick, that was her name, had with you, and point blank told her you're not going to get into a debate with her online on that topic of Mr. Hernandez. He does what the party wants you to do, and that's that. Oh, I remember that conversation very well. It's just something I pulled out of my ass, and I have nothing better else to talk about. And so your statement to our mutual group was, I never made that statement. That's attributed to me. You're going to claim you never issued that statement. Okay. People can believe it. They don't have to believe it. They can believe you. They can believe me. They can believe whatever they want to believe. God knows, you know, I know, they know, and that's all that matters. What did you tell me when I called you up for the endorsement voting process just before San Diego? Hey, I'm running for, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And you reminded me, sir, that you were going to ensure nobody in your group out of Placer County voted for me to speak at that convention. Wow! Was that a personal issue or was that a professional issue? And I've been kind of informed that you are not a rhino, that you're a staunch conservative with a burr up your ass maybe, but I get it. I'm thinking you had a personal issue, which won't be the first time somebody's had that. But a little bit more than half of your delegation did vote for me for the opportunity to speak, so you can take that and do what you want with it. Let's go to Mr. Hilton. I've done enough blasting of Chad. 187 years of state history will take care of Chad. He ain't going nowhere. But he ain't dropping out. And too many people from the insider track are saying that he was getting funded by Mr. Swalwell anyway. Isn't it kind of amazing how his sudden plunge coincided with Mr. Swalwell's departure? Tongue twister. Don't believe it. Do your own research, figure it out. Somebody did. They tracked the money and found it. Oh, Mr. Swalwell was supporting Mr. Bianco. If Tony Thurman can rip Bianco in less than 5 minutes on a mini debate held by KTXL TV in Los Angeles down south nearly a year ago, I'm pretty sure he was going to get his ass handed to him on many other debates, minus the kindergarten ones we saw at the last 2 outings that the Democrats put together. Don't you people out there find it funny that the Democratic candidates went from top all the way down to 1% of polling? And they fielded 8 candidates? Interesting. But they only had 2 Republicans. No other Republicans running in the race. But there are 12 of us listed, including those 2. What does that tell you? Hilton didn't do too well at the Yorba Linda event. Pat Nixon, matter of fact, he got caught saying, I know it's illegal to do, but we have to consider amending the Constitution so that California can declare bankruptcy to fix our pension problem. If you were there, you saw that. If you were there, you heard that, unless you just didn't care and it went right by you. He invoked my name, and right after the rules was even announced, I challenged him on that. And we had a Republican candidate, not a candidate, we had a Republican assemblyman, treasurer? Kind of forgot now. But anyway, he was an insider. No, Leo, you can't have this challenge. He did not attack you when he called the name. The premise was if you get attacked by name, then you get an extra 30 seconds. Lo and behold, if we'd have left it up to you, sir, I wouldn't have won that challenge. And it was really bad because I had to convince a few people, have a little freaking faith, folks. I do have an idea of what I'm doing from time to time. And I knew exactly what I was doing on that stage at that time. But you tried to give me the old Republican insider, I know better than you track and roll me because you reinterpreted how the rules went. Thank God, by the grace of God, there was a parliamentarian there, just as influential as you, more so because of the years that he had in reading rules and making determinations of them. And he reread the rule and pointed it out to you, one of the moderators, that I was correct and we were not going to treat this like the Democrats would. I was called by name. There was no stipulation on how the name was called out. You gave up the 30 seconds when you called out a candidate. So yeah, I caught you in your own game. And Mr. Hilton got caught in the rule explanation. And from that point forward, for the next 2 hours and 15 minutes, not one other candidate on that stage referred to anybody else by name. Go back to the debates that we've just watched, the kindergarten temper tantrums, as I call them, and you'll see the Democrats calling each other by name time and time again. Bill Xavier, you shouldn't do that. Ovia Rigosa, you shouldn't do that. And Matt, that's wrong. And Xavier, that's wrong. And Steyer, that's wrong. What do you think they were doing, folks? They called each other by name because every time they did that, it gave the other candidate 30 more seconds to speak, freezing out the Republicans. Well, of course they looked good. They didn't get a chance to say anything, but it was never about them being on that stage in the first place. Oh, Steve Hilton. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff about Steve Hilton coming out. People complaining that it's hard to find the dirt on Steve Hilton because the wife seems to be taking care of cleaning up the mess, as it's alleged. She's purging information, as it's alleged. But Mr. Hilton seems more than okay with amending the Constitution just to make California declare bankruptcy. It's a business decision. What difference does it make? Even the Democrats haven't been that stupid to make that statement. I said we declare a fiscal emergency, and I have all the background to be able to do it. The state literally gives you the excuse. Constant deficits, constant mismanaged funds, constant loss of funds, constant rejection of funds from the feds. Everything is there. Fiscal emergency means you get to bring those unions back to the table and have a conversation. I laid out my plan that day. What did Hilton's plan include? Declaring bankruptcy for the state. Go back, ladies and gentlemen, and research what that means when a state declares bankruptcy and when is the last time it was done. But that's your guy. Mr. Fox News, I'm for Fox News. That's all you need to know about me. I'm Fox News, and you don't need to know nothing else. My name's Steve Hilton, and I'm going to break the 16-year Democratic control of the state with my D7 atomizer and my wits. That's Men in Black 4. Matter of fact, whenever you hear Mr. Hilton make that claim, take a drink of your favorite alcoholic beverages. You probably won't last 2 hours into trying it. Let's look at some numbers, folks. Let's look at the realities of conversation, because right now, California does not seem to be broken enough to want to be fixed. Why is that? Because it's too easy to plunder on both sides of the aisle. Got a sheriff running around here saying that we have to protect the 140,000 people that might leave the state, and they're the ones that make up 51% of our state tax. Referencing the billionaire tax. Panic. Everybody's panicking. Woohoo! Panic! Billionaires don't seem to be panicking. They don't panic. Some have left. Yeah, well, goodbye. Let the door hit your ass on the way out. But a lot of them are not panicking. Tom Steyer does not seem to be bothered one way or the other about a billionaire's tax. Oh, Steve's rich enough. He's not bothered. He's not running for the hills. People talk about this billionaire tax hitting the middle class at some point. Of course it's going to hit the middle class at some point. It's a tax, folks. What do you think the rich people do? Avoid paying them. Who do you think makes up the difference? We do. But remember that point. Who makes up the difference? We do. Here's a historical fact for you people out there to think I'm full of shit. In 2020, we lost our very first congressional seat in Congress because of the amount of people that fled California during the census. Nearly 700,000+ people. Gavin Newsom is going to go down in history as being the first governor in the state of California to lose a congressional seat. Congratulations, Gino Gavin. You're a moron extraordinaire. How you did that, I have no idea. We can only imagine, let history play it out, but you did that. 700,000 people fled the state that we lost a congressional seat. The projection at that time was, we're going to lose 4 more by the 2030 census coming up 4 years from now. Ooh. But Leo, we got people escaping now en masse. Yes, we do. That's what's being said. Billions of dollars leaving with the rich people bailing because of this tax, this billionaire tax. Yes, we do. That's what they said. Let's have the conversation, folks. If they're all leaving and taking their tax money with them, all the businesses are leaving, taking their employees and their tax money with them, who's making up the difference? And Trump still cutting off federal funding for the state because he's got an angst against the Democratic Party, the theft and the corruption happening here. What's going on? Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance closed down the main welfare office in downtown Sacramento. Why? Because they couldn't afford the upkeep. That's the biggest bullshit line I've ever heard. It was a leased building in the middle of downtown Sacramento, right off transit line, bus lines, light rail lines, the freeways. Whoa, it was all right there. Been there for years. Now suddenly we can't afford the maintenance on it. Some rumors suggest the city of Sacramento was tired of having that eyesore there. They're eyeing the property. A lot of buildings go up on property when cities start eyeing them. Who's the investor getting ready to build apartments right there on a major hub in this 15-minute city race to the bottom? They dispersed out the workforce through the rest of the county offices, the few that are left. And oh, lo and behold, why would that be? Well, because the feds cut off the spigot for the food stamp program. You should start to see some ramifications of that on the 1st of June. That's Monday of next week. Medi-Cal's been gutted. Oh, Medi-Cal, that's that free stuff that the illegals get being here in California. What was that number, ladies and gentlemen, that is on the Medi-Cal program? 1.6 million illegals? My. How do we know that? Where are those numbers from? Who has that information? Hold that thought. Guesstimates are 3 to 5 million illegals in this state. Let's go with the smaller 3 million number. It's a little bit more manageable for you guys out there. $3 million illegals estimated to be in this state. My campaign has said we need to clean up the numbers in California so that we know who the hell is supposed to be here and who the hell isn't. So many people have left the school system, yet the schools are losing money in their budgets. Why would that be if their enrollment is the same? But it's not. How could that be if we get paid by the student? Because so many of them are homeschooling, so many of them have left. What's going on in the school system? Money's being cut out of their budgets, and why is that? Had a group down here in West Sacramento, a union group, bitching and complaining that they were losing their jobs because they're closing down the Port of Sacramento. I wanted to talk to those people. Hey, let's have a conversation. I need to find out from the union folks what the hell's happening in West Sacramento. If I want to listen to the bullshit, I'll go talk to the government folks to see what kind of concoction they're going to give me. But let's see the people on the ground working the port to find out what's going on. And their union boss was stuck on moron because he thought I was pushing for an endorsement. Of course I would have liked to have gotten one. But the premise I started with was, let's have a conversation to find out what you need, what you want, what you expect from a candidate. And what did my union contacts say? The president of the little union group in West Sac running the port? How'd you get my number? It doesn't matter how I got your number. I got it. And I got a hold of you finally. Let's have a conversation. Well, after 2 months of the bullshit lines, I finally told the man because he couldn't get a quorum, we couldn't have a conversation. I finally told him, so basically you don't want to talk. And that's when he unleashed the F-bombs. You don't know effing the thing. You don't know effing anything. You're just mad because we're not effing giving you an endorsement. You're effing nobody. You don't know what the F you're talking about, and on and on and on and on. My comment to him back was, well, sir, it looks like you never intended to have a conversation because you don't need a quorum to do that. So you were never really wanting to have that talk. You're lock and stepping with the Democrats. God bless you, good luck. When you lose that port and you lose those jobs, let them know you brought them there, not me. Nothing moved. Same thing's still going to happen. They're going to lose the port. They're going to lose their jobs. Now what? And what's the excuse for that? Maintenance is too high. the maintenance is too high to maintain the buildings at the Port of Sacramento, you get income from the business it generates. You get money from the state and the feds to make sure it's still active. Where the hell has that money gone? Jeez. The illegals in Medi-Cal, the train to nowhere, or all the other graft and gifts and fraud that's been found out, that's where all the money's gone. That's why your port's getting ready to close out. That's why a big business concept is being ready to be lost. We're spending billions on building a tunnel to strip the Delta water system and pipe it down south to LA. That's what that's all about. And we want to build more housing in that area. Because that's the concept. From what I keep hearing. Steve Hilton wants to make sure you get $100,000 written off your taxes. For the first $100,000 that you make will be tax-free. Everybody that doesn't think beyond their wallet, pocketbook, or their face loves that statement. $100,000 off my taxes. Woohoo! That's his promise. Ladies and gentlemen, he was caught in another forum making the announcement that he knew damn well he couldn't do it because the legislature would never pass it. So in short, he's either misinforming you or he's lying. Take your pick. Steve Hilton pundits, you know who you are, especially the young and the impressionable ones, think that's a wonderful idea. Ooh, $100,000 off taxes. What has he cut besides the revenue stream to pay the bills? He sure as hell hasn't reduced spending, hasn't touched that, but he's taken away the tax base which supports it. Now, for those of you that are a little bit more savvy than the average bear and understand a little bit more because you've been around longer than 19 years of age, just graduating, what does that mean when you carve out $100,000 of income, the first $100,000 of income on people's taxes? How many folks will suddenly not be paying tax in California? And I dare say a whole shitload of them, pardon my French. Who's going to make up the difference? While you're chomping at the bit, look at who's going to fit the bill for that removal of taxable income from everybody's income levels. You've pretty much carte blanche removed it from the illegals. You've pretty much carte blanche removed it from the poor people. You've pretty much almost removed it entirely from the middle class. So who fits the bill? $100,000 off your tax, and then you're going to get a 7% lock-in for everything above that? That's you wealthy people and you upper middle class folks that are getting that tax bill. Under his plan, of course. They just don't know it because I'm selling it to you as if it's a pretty thing. It's really pretty. No reduction of spending, but a lot of tax money disappearing. To what? He's passing off a tax bill to the rich. Sit down, do the math, and figure out who's going to make up the difference for all those people that make under $100,000. Let's ask now, how many Californians make under 100K yearly income? Income by stats. What's a large percentage? Medium income household in California, well, nationwide, excuse me, is $83,000 a year. California, the median income is about $100,000. Won't give me the numbers. But we have a lot of people in California that are getting ready to get a big tax break. And a lot of rich people are getting ready to get a big tax bill. But when you take off that tax, what do you have to make it up with? What's left? Your property. Property tax will surge to make up that loss. How are you going to prevent that? Well, you hope it's going to be prevented by Prop 13, but Mr. Hilton's been talking about that also. Oh, he says he's going to fight for Prop 13, but he wrote that he wants to see it overturned. Which one is it? I think I'd like to see taxes reduced by up to 50% and the corresponding debt and spending that goes with it. That was my plan. But Mr. Hilton, Mr. Bianco don't have a plan for that. They just want to remove the income streams and hedge that you're going to make it up in oil revenue. That's Bianco. Well, that's going to probably take a generation, 10 years, to figure out how to get oil out of the ground once you get done fighting everybody to be able to get the permits. And you're not just going to fight the permits. Some of those places that have a lot of oil are very sensitive to the pollution that those oil wells have created. Santa Barbara being one of them. Sicknesses and illnesses in Kern County, up there in foothills being another one. Good luck, Mr. Chad. You're going to purge the state income tax, but you're not going to be able to make up the difference through oil sales at any length of time, especially when they're all leaving California in the first place. Duh. Mr. Hilton wants to write off the tax so they can increase taxes in other ways. You think your property is at risk now, let that happen where you don't pay $100,000 of income tax-free and see where that gets you without any reduction of spending. $3 a gallon gas is his claim to fame. He's going to freeze gas at $3 a gallon. And what the hell is that supposed to do? Especially when, 4 months ago it was $2.47 in Georgia? But you want to freeze it at $3? So if it goes lower anywhere else, you're going to keep a cap of $3 on the gas? Mediocrity, folks. Go ahead and accept that. That's what you voted for if you already cast your ballot. That's what you're about ready to vote for if you haven't yet cast it, but you're leaning that way. Certain people have come out and said he's a globalist. Yes, he is. Certain people have come out and said he's pro-transitioning of children. Yes, he is. You don't just embrace Ms. Newsom and think of her transitional group, the little program that she did way back when, as you know, that was a great idea, ma'am. That was a great idea. You're really doing something great for the communities. Because it leads to a question that makes it very difficult for even the ardent Hilton supporters to back up. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? You were a policy writer, an opinionist. Just like, you know, that old saying, everybody has an opinion, just like that part. Yeah. Under your prime minister back then that you gave a lot of opinion to and you did a lot of policies to, look at the crap show that England is today when you escaped to come here to America. Did you think California was the goose that laid the golden egg that you could plunder like everybody else has been plundering? Because that's what I see. You wanted to fix things, you should have fixed that crap in England. Did something for your country. But instead, you ran over to our country And you claim that you're no longer a dual citizen, but nobody's verified that with the English government. Very simple question. They could put that whole problem to rest. Dear England and Her Majesty's Port Authorities, did you indeed relinquish the citizenship of one Mr. Herzbach, Steve Hilton, as he's otherwise known today? Why won't anyone ask that question? Fox News sure as hell won't ask that question. Hilton's their guy. Talk about a propaganda piece. Whoo! Chad Bianco even tried to flame Hilton. Laura Ingraham cut his ass off. That's bought and paid for, folks. The media is not going to let you besmirch Steve Hilton. And they're not going to give up a whole hell of a lot of time to anybody else other than Steve Hilton. Why is that? That's called steering an election. You haven't heard about anybody else because they won't let you be informed of anybody else. What's the fear? If we're all that stupid, the public will figure it out within the first 2 or 3 minutes. It's not that difficult. Forums that I've been on, you can figure out who the weak links are really fast. But some of us aren't as weak as what you give us credit to be. And some of us are much better than your supposed top 2 guys. Steve, well, he posts that he's part of the 57% that wants abortion. What was the quote that he gave? I feel like I'm a minority in a majority voting bloc. Nobody's representing me, the 57% that want abortion, with exceptions. No, I'm pro-life. I'm not an abortion supporter. But Steve, that's what you wrote. Was that a lie, or are you lying now? Oh, no, I made a position back then, but I've since corrected it in the 5 years that I needed to run for governorship. That's what I wrote back then. No, that doesn't matter. Don't look at that stuff. It's all nonsense. What I'm telling you today is the only thing that's relevant. And I'm telling you, I'm Steve Hilton, and we're going to stop the 16 years of Democratic Party rule with my wits and my D7 atomizer. Where's your wife? Nobody's seen her. Hell, she hasn't even made a comment. You are married, right? Of course you are. People admit you got a wife. They also admit she's British born and can't even vote in this election. She came here to America, but she didn't become a citizen. You did, supposedly. She hasn't? Arnold Schwarzenegger was supposed to be a Republican. He turned out to be more Democrat than any of the Democrats. That's why they loved him. The man who should not have been influenced by the Democratic Party was heavily influenced by the Democratic Party. Oh, he wasn't a girly man. But he sure hell wasn't a man to stand up to the bullshit. He yielded to the pressures. Why? What could they have done to him? Nothing. On the way out the door, what was his final insult to the Republican Party in California? He gave the son of a prominent Democrat a pardon for crimes that he was already jailed for. The man that gave us the jungle primary system. Here we are today, bitching about it. This was addressed to my campaign. No name. No return address. This is the 2-page letter that outlines the problem at the Robert Presley Detention Center. See that information right there? Mr. Patel arrested. Here's part 2 of that letter. I sent this off to the news agencies wondering what the hell's going on with it. No response. Contacted the sheriff's office down there in Riverside County. What's going on with this? Oh, they confirmed there was a case. No response after that. Can't even reach the investigator, Mr. Cardinal. Left 3 messages. 2 days ago, called the district attorney's office in Riverside County. I'll let you figure out who he is, but I will tell you this. This is what I've been informed of by their press and by insiders that know the situation. The district attorney and Mr. Bianco are good friends. What their office initially told me was I had to give that evidence over to the sheriff's department because they're the ones that initiated the investigation. And I politely and firmly told the district attorney's rep, that ain't going to happen because they're the corruption that the whistleblower is announcing. Why would I do that to jeopardize somebody making a report against the very sheriff in charge of handling that crap, an undersheriff who's protecting the sheriff from being exposed to that crap, the acknowledgement that the county seems to be paying off witnesses and victims, and nobody seems to know shit except that Mr. Patel had a court date on the 20th of April of this year. And we don't know what the status is with the charges brought against him. And the 5 named individuals in that letter got shuffled around and they're being kept muffled from speaking. I'm not sure what the press enterprise is down in Riverside County, but they got a copy of everything now. Let them figure it out. "33 years of Riverside County Sheriff." You've seen that. 33 years of a Riverside County Sheriff. How does corruption start? At the top. And it gets encouraged for the bottom. You've taken on so many jobs, you don't even have control over any of them. You have a lot of responsibilities and you have control over none of them. Prisoners dying in your jail, abnormally high. Inmate dies 2 days of not getting any type of medical attention. We don't even do that to death row inmates in California, and San Quentin is pretty hard. But they didn't do that to their inmates when their death row people are sick. Factual or not, they brag their ass and they find out if they're still healthy. But you let a man die in your jails. Well, you didn't. Your deputies did. Are they still even employed there? Don't know. Third assassination attempt. That was phony as a $3 bill, but you did it anyway. Tried to ruin a man's life. Probably could have got that man and his family killed for your political purposes. Was that calculated? Or was that just consequences of, shit happens? You did a ballot stunt, which is now costing you supposedly money that you have to pay for to deal with ballots that you said were grossly negligent in counting, and there was some discrepancies there. You launched an investigation, but you launched an investigation of a sheriff, so what in the hell is your private attorney involved with the ballot schemes? How are they involved in that investigation? That's your private attorney. That's not the deputy department's attorney. That's not the sheriff's attorney. That's not the county's attorney. That's your guy that you buy and pay for. But yet he's getting sensitive information on the ballots. And voter information that it seems he violated PII info over 5 days. Now your ass is getting sued for that. Oh, and didn't they just pass a law in here in the legislature that it's against the law in California for sheriffs to impede the progress of voting? How's that going to work out, sir? "187 years of state history is against you." God bless you. Good luck. We're going to find out in 5 days whether your polling numbers are factual or bullshit. But when you brag about being the only sheriff who won overwhelmingly in your race in 2022, let's be a little bit more realistic. You barely got 200,000 votes in a 1.3 million eligible voter district, the county of Riverside. One guy, you and him, paired off. 12% of the vote. That was it. I said it when I started this mess. You'll never win California like that. And then there's Steve Hilton and all the people against him and what they're pointing out, showing, and stating. But like people do, shrills don't care about what is. Some of you are getting paid. We know it. You're a little bit too hard on the gas pedal for Steve Hilton. Some of you are gung-ho putting a Brit in charge of a state in the United States of America. Some of you are gung-ho because he was from Fox News, Mr. Strickland, senator. Talk about COVID with Chad Bianco, but you seem to be a little remiss on what Steve did with COVID during his time frame. He was all for those lockdowns. Hell yeah, lock them down harder. Tighten up the ropes. I don't see a whole hell lot of complaining except from a few people on Steve Hilton, what he did during COVID. A lot of what Sheriff Chad did during COVID. Not too much about Hilton's indiscretions during that time frame. If we're going to play games the right way, not the half-ass way. Second Amendment, he comes from a country that outlawed weapons in the hands of citizens. You think that he's gung-ho about protecting your Second Amendment rights here? Okay, if you believe it. We're going to wipe out $100,000 of income from the tax base and make it up where? Because you sure haven't said how you're going to reduce the spending. But you have got a little creative about that illegal problem that I'm now circling back to, the 1.6 million illegals that are on the Medi-Cal program. Oh, Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton has said we're going to take them off for the Medi-Cal program, 1.6 million people, and we're going to move them to Medicaid and get them out of Medi-Cal so they don't have the free medical insurance. We're going to move them to the other group where they still get to keep their free medical insurance, only now we're going to make the country pay the other half of the bill. Medicaid is 50-50. We pay half, the feds pay half. Oh my, that's the program that President Trump is pooching and removing federal money from. So ladies and gentlemen, guess what Steve Hilton is doing? Taking them out of Medi-Cal and putting them into Medicaid, and that means California will still, yes you folks, paying free medical for the illegals. That's my plan. His people are hard trying to get Chad Bianco to quit. Woo, they're hard on Chad Bianco trying to get him to drop out of this race. Just like he was hard at begging the President of the United States of America to give him an endorsement, which he got. And then rubbed it in everybody's face that he got it. But don't forget, Carl DeMaio never congratulated him. That's his buddy. Carl DeMaio, that Republican that most of you love because he's so gangster? Shit. Carl DeMaio didn't say jack about Steve Hilton's POTUS endorsement. Carl DeMaio made a couple of unflattering comments towards Mr. David Collenberg. Yeah, he did that. He can comment on David Collenberg, but he can't comment on his friend Steve Hilton running for governor with a POTUS endorsement? Interesting. Well, Leo, you're a nobody. Nobody knows you. Nobody's going to give you a vote. Nobody's going to do anything. You're so mean. You don't even apologize to young ladies on the internet that you pissed off, that had a horrible day. You're this, you're that. Let me explain something to you, folks, that even my welfare people understood and knew. You want to not give that man energy, leave him the hell alone. It's that simple. But you keep poking the bear. And this is the internet world. Grow up. You want to be in it, but you don't get in it and then cry about your age group when it gets a little rough because you're having a bad day. Personally, the world doesn't give a rat's ass about your bad day any more than it cares about anything else. The world keeps going forward. Grow up, suck it up, learn to live with it. Steve Hilton wants Chad out. Begged for a POTUS endorsement. Got it. Carl DeMille kicked him to the curb. Didn't say shit about it. Rubbed it into everybody's face that he had a POTUS endorsement at the San Diego convention and lost an endorsement from the state Republican Party assembly that was there. The Republican Party, state of California level endorsement committee did not choose Steve Hilton. And I've said this before. In my mind, I think they were getting ready to endorse Chad Bianco. And since I know he gets on my links, he's aware of my thoughts on this process. He was getting ready to be endorsed. That move by Trump effed it all up. He didn't get overly disappointed because an hour after that vote was taken, Mr. Bianco said, "Thank you for those who voted for me." The big lie, well, he got the popular vote. Nobody gives a damn about that, people. He got a participation trophy, just like I did. His cost 25,000 times more than mine did. But the bottom line is he lost, just like I did. And so did Steve Hilton. All things in your corner. POTUS endorsement, the news media, the party, the rich, the famous, the champion, the Fox News, the CNN News. Everybody's going your way, Steve Hilton. What happened? You lost there, schlick. I spent 1,000% of what you did, and we both got the same trophy. We both got the same column that we ended up in. We lost. But you were so taken aback by the loss that it took you 2 hours to come out and make the statement that I think you just pretty much fucked everybody at that convention. Let's get behind the only candidate that's in the lead, that's me, and let's get behind the only endorsement that matters, and that's the one from the President of the United States of America. I looked at that comment that you put out shortly after that vote, and I could not believe your stupid ass made that statement to those people at that convention after you literally begged for them to endorse you. You went through all that, and it didn't matter because the only endorsement that matters is the one from Trump? You were so stupid, you were too dumb to realize what happened in that moment. You got your endorsement and you lost the race. Because this is California, not New Mexico, not Arizona, not Texas, not anywhere else a Trump endorsement carries weight. It don't carry weight in California. Not when you're outnumbered 2-3 in the Democrats versus one Republican voter. Kind of the math, dude. Look at the No Kings protest rallies. My God, thousands of people. Look at the Bring Our Nation Back to God rally that happened here in Sacramento a short time ago. You could barely field 200 people. They're fielding 2,000 or 3,000, if not 20 or 30,000. So for the Hiltonites out there, God bless you if you voted. At least you voted. Did you vote wisely? Contrary to popular belief, whether you voted for me or not, I've said this before, near the end of the campaign season, What candidates do and say at this point, who cares? We've done the best we can do. The issue, when the election ballots went out, when voting commenced, is now in your hands. You, the voter, determine the direction that California is going to take. Prosperity or poverty. It's that simple. You want to hear what you want to hear and discount what's distasteful for you. Grow the hell up. You don't like reality, but you live in it. When you make a bonehead decision, you live with the consequences of your bonehead decision. Sometimes you get to recover. Sometimes you don't. That was pointed for somebody. But hey, I'm on block, so they'll never get this. But they know what I'm talking about. Unfortunate, but you know what? It is what it is. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. You did your research, you did your background check-in, you listened to what the guy had to say, and you were thoroughly convinced in the little bit of time that you have on this planet, this is the guy to save California. God bless you for making that choice. Should have went a little further. Why? Why was he running? Well, he's running because he's going to make California golden again. There's nothing wrong with California. There's wrong with what's running it. And who's running it? The voters pick those individuals to run the state. The voters keep putting them back in the same positions to keep running the state. The voters have decided how the state is going to be ran and the consequences of those decisions. Some of us tried to change that consequence. Some of us tried to change that direction. Whether you vote for me or somebody else, the determination was always yours. All we can do as candidates is give you the best argument why you should vote for either one of us. You took it on a personal note and went stupid with it. And then, with your groupie mentality, you cut loose the dogs of war on the internet and thinking that the mass is going to kowtow me into submission. Well, little lady, that ain't going to happen. And that's a shame. So with that being said, if you have not yet voted, please, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please do your homework and your research before you cast a ballot and make a decision that you cannot take back. Some of you are going to decide not to vote at all because you're that pissed off at the situation. Here's what I'm asking you to do. If you're a Republican, you don't want to throw your vote away by voting a Democrat or not voting at all, find my name on the ballot, put an X by there. After all, I'm only a little guy. Who's going to know? I'm not going anywhere, according to the pundits. But you can feel good about yourself for voting for a Republican. Just don't say the name. Leo Naranjo IV is who you're going to put the box by. That way you can feel good about not wasting your vote. That way you can feel good that you voted at least for somebody that sounded half-ass rational, like they were going to try and fix what's wrong in California. You didn't want to vote the establishment. You didn't like to be told who to vote for. I'm asking you. If you have nothing else to do, do that. Vote for Leo Naranjo IV. Put your name by the X by my name. Send in your ballot. Call it a day. No harm, no foul, right? Don't hold your nose and pick the lesser of two evils. The devil or the demon. Gee, which one do I accept? The plunderer or the assaulter? I'm running first and foremost for the citizens of this state. I didn't include illegals, citizens of other countries, the establishment, the party, or anything else. The citizens of this state. Not one other candidate has made that claim on why they are running. All kinds of other reasons, but none of them say that. Well, it's presumably that's what they mean. I'm not here to figure out what they mean. I'm here to tell you I'm running for the citizens of this state. That's why I'm running. The difference in military folks and the con artists are you're going to get told and get informed what we're going to do, how we're going to fix it, and what the result is after we do. They're going to give you promises. I promise to remove state tax. I promise to remove $100,000 of your wealth from income tax. I promise to do everything you want me to do because it's what you want to hear. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the race. God bless each and every one of you. You have a great afternoon. My name is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor. 5 days to go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kick butt, rock and roll, and make changes. LeoNaranjo4gov.com. Bye-bye.